quote from H.N. Suresh: "The unifying and uplifting messages of Indian classical music and art are more relevant now than before and can help find solutions to present day problems." Welcome to my 25th video on art in medieval India spanning 7th to 13th century AD. Now with this video, I complete 1 year of making YouTube videos on ancient Indian art, architecture, science, music, culture and sculptures. Do join in and celebrate this 1 year anniversary with me as a content creator and blogger on YouTube. I would love to read your comments and suggestions and topics of your interest on this subject. The most noteworthy development in medieval art was the shift from the predominance of rock-cut architecture and sculpture to more freestanding sculptures and paintings, particularly in the north, while staying rooted in the religion and culture. Down south of India, gigantic frescoes were created in caves and walls of temples. The Cholas told their own tales by painting a different picture of fine craftsmanship in temple architecture and sculptures. The frescoes discovered in the ruins of Hampi in the Vijayanagara kingdom, which I visited last year, were amazing. The tradition and technique of cliff painting in India evolved gradually through thousands of years, starting with prehistoric art and Bhimbetka and ancient frescoes preserved at the Ajanta caves. The technique used in these frescoes involves applying a smooth batter of limestone mixture over the stones that take a couple of days to set in, to allow the natural organic pigments to retain their inherent luster. Enormous paintings covering extensive walls and ceilings of the complex had to be completed within the short span of time before the base dried up. The Chola frescoes were inundated with beautiful imagery of Lord Shiva, since the rulers were ardent Shivites. Interest in three-dimensional figural representations, perceived as an embodiment of sacred beauty and spirituality, continued through medieval India. According to the various texts and traditions, the god or the king must be muscular and broad-shouldered with a wide chest and a slim waist, and the limbs should be cylindrical, which is suggestive of inward prana or breath. Female figures were modeled in graceful postures with chiseled features, elaborate jewelry and headdress. The figures are depicted with hands in various positions. These gestures convey different moods and meanings. Seated figures are often featured in lotus position with feet turned upward and hands holding symbolic emblems. The multiple arms and heads of gods are indicative of the superhuman characteristics. Ancient Indian sculpture reflects a close relationship between the theologians and the artists, which help to make gods more accessible to mankind. While the priests set out the rules in accordance with the Vastu Shastras, which are the earliest scriptures on structural constructions, it was the sculptors who transformed the iconographic representation of deities as per the Shilpa Shastras into works of art. Since art and architecture was primarily in the service of God, the artists who worked in guilds rarely signed their work. Traditions acquired through years of learning and practice were preserved orally via family units. During the 8th and the 13th centuries, the Pala and the Sena dynasties ruled in northeastern India over present-day Bihar. West Bengal and Bangladesh. These dynasties were responsible for unifying the regions culturally as they were great patrons of arts and learning. Buddhist, Hindu and Tantric mystical arts flourished in this period, drawing pilgrims and students from China, Nepal, Tibet, Burma, Java and Bali. This also helped in opening the trade routes with these countries. The demand for the work of highly skilled craftsmen belonging to the Pala Sena school was great in India and the neighboring countries. The Sena dynasty ended in the late 12th century after repeated attacks by Muslim rulers who were already ruling on most of North India. Several precious libraries, images, and artifacts of that era were unfortunately destroyed by the invading army. The book painting tradition associated with Buddhism and Jainism predates Islamic era. Early Buddhist palm leaf paintings and the wooden book covers dated 10th century onwards reflect a style similar to the older wall painting traditions. In the subsequent 2 centuries, the technique for miniature format evolved further to adopt to a more refined line work, colors and plasticity. The 10th century Indian paintings on palm leaf manuscripts had no links with contemporary life. Now, artists of that era painted Buddhist, Jains and Hindu gods and goddesses and mandalas, a square with 4 gates in the circle with religious and ritual significance. With the introduction of paper, artists in Western India got more space and freedom to experiment. Towards the end of the 13th century, the Turkish influence made inroads into Indian culture, which made the paintings include Persian elements in their border decorations. The scene takes a different turn about AD 1000 with the arrival of Islam, and in its train followed iconism and complex patterning derived from Arabic models and Persian miniatures. Assimilation experimentations therefore was natural, as reflected in some art and architectural elements that followed. One of the notable relief panel in granite from this period is a relief structure depicting the descent of river Ganges on the seafront at Mamalapuram on the outskirts of Chennai in South India. This is one of the 9 freestanding monolithic constructs. It features 150 life-size figures, deities, animals, and other forms scattered through the site. This depicts Bhagiratha as ascetic, and the episode depicting his attempt to persuade river Ganges to come down from the heavens and purify the ashes of his ancestor. In the collection of the Ashmolean Museum, Oxford, UK, the Votive Stupa is a noteworthy. The stupa features a dome placed on a tiled square base with a niche on each of the 4 sides. An image of Buddha appears in each of the 4 niches. The hemispherical dome is a fine example of the structure derived from the earliest Buddhist monuments in India. Voltaic sculptures such as this do not contain any relics and are sculptures made as devotion or in fulfillment of a wish or vow at the expense and behest of a monk or a donor. Several such works can be found at pilgrimage sites in and around Bihar. Now let me end this video with my favorite quote Indian art is like an ocean, and with growing audiences in the country and overseas, everyone's vision and interest in art can be realized. So if you like this video, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to press the bell icon for notifications of more videos from this channel. Thank you so much and have a nice day.